Alright everybody, welcome to episode 7 of the CBR800 V4 build. Now you might be asking, what is a CBR800 V4? Basically, it's this VFR800 V4 behind me being converted into a CBR, CBR forks, CBR shock, CBR bodywork. This bike's essentially going to be a one-of-a-kind V4 engine 800cc bike. And if you support the build series over on Patreon for as little as $1 per video, you can qualify to win this bike when it's done. Full set of speed and strength riding gear. I'm doing 4 different giveaways at the end of every single month for the next 4 months. So go check it out. There's a lot over there that you can take home every month just for supporting the build series. So if you remember a few weeks ago, we pulled the whole back end off the bike to take it out for powder coating. While it was off, I cleaned up the whole back of the engine because it was filthy dirty. Finally picked up everything from powder coating, ready to start bolting it back on. Normally with my powder coating, I do a semi-gloss black. For this build, I'm doing like a matte black. I want it to be mean and angry looking. So we got a bunch of matte black going on the bike and a bunch of candy apple red going on the bike too. It's gonna look super sweet. We're gonna start bolting the whole rear end back on the bike. So pulled out all the old bearings, put in new bearings. That cost so much money. So yeah, let's start building. Okay, the first thing we're going to tackle is putting this bracket back on the back of the engine. Goes back here. And it's been weeks since I pulled this bracket off. So what I do is I print out these schematics off the internet. Babbitt's online gave me these. And I got all these schematics here. Shows me all the assembly. I went down and wrote down the different part numbers that, because I bought all new bearings, all new seals. There's no way I can keep all this straight. So what I'll do is I'll go through each schematic one at a time. There's no bearings, there's no seals, but check this out too. When I pull my bikes apart, I put all the different areas in these little baggies and I mark them so I know where all these nuts and bolts go. Otherwise, you'll never figure this out. I pulled this bike apart probably at least 3 weeks ago. So this keeps it all straight and really helps out. So let's quit blabbing and let's get this bracket put back on the bike. Alright, so a lot of times when you're getting powder coating done, a little bit of flash gets in holes even though they plug them. You can see here, it can go in, but it's a little bit too snug for me, so I'm just going to kind of clean this hole out a little bit with this pneumatic device here. And you want to just barely hit it. You don't want to take off any aluminum, you just want to knock off the powder coating. Okay, next step is install the swing arm. So we want to make sure we get the whole swing arm pivot all straightened out. I ordered all new bearings, all new seals. Thank God I have this schematic or I'd be completely lost. Here's the swing arm. We got your pivots here and here. This pivot here, we've got a clip, we got a seal, 2 bearings, we got a spacer here and another seal. So that'll all go in here. So on this side, we already got 1 bearing installed. I did it at my buddy's shop, but it still needs a seal on this side. And this seal goes on this side, and then this is the spacer that goes inside the bearing. So let's get all this installed, then we can get the swing arm put on the bike. Alright, so for this side we just need to install these 2 seals. Make sure you put the seal in the right direction. Kind of put it in hand tight. Give it a little tap. Actually, I'm going to leave it flush with the outside here. I believe that's as far as it goes in. So we don't really need to use, normally you just take the socket, tap on it, and you would drive that seal in. But we're gonna leave that flush with the edge for now. I think that's where it belongs. Then we'll do the other side. Boom. And we got this seal here. Just press it in by hand. That's pretty good. And then this is just the spacer, goes inside the bearing, and then the axle will go inside of that. Keep things nice and tight. So get that going in. And you can see here the spacer sticks out just a little bit on both sides, so that's ideally what you want. Alright, so for this side here we have two bearings here that come in this side. Wow, those fit in there nice. Just give them a little tap. Make sure they're in all the way. Now we have one of these circlips that I hate so much. I'll admit they're always easier to get in than they are to get out. Alright, so I just flipped the swing arm over. Now we have a seal that goes on this side. Now I'm just going to put this seal in flush with the edge of the swing arm because we have this spacer that's going to stick out a little bit, I believe. And then this here. Okay, yeah, you can see how the spacer sticks out just a little bit. So that's good. Okay, so something I want to show you guys over here. You'll notice there is no spacer sticking out of this side of the swing arm. What a lot of times these bikes will do is they'll have an axle and the spacer will be part of the axle. So this is the nut that holds the axle on. So this will actually be the spacer for this side once I install the swing arm on the bike. So don't worry about that, we got it handled. Hey guys, so one thing I did here is I put anti-seize on this axle rather than grease. It works better than grease in this kind of instance here, so can't believe I can get this thing on without help. Okay, and so this is the side where the axle nut is actually the spacer for this side. Put a little bit of anti-seize on it too, so it'll go inside the seal better. So now we just thread it on. This thing doesn't have to be super tight because it's got these pinch bolts on both sides, but we want, we still want to get it nice and snug. Oh yeah, nice and smooth. Okay, so here's the chain rub plate. I bought a new one because the old one was worn out. I probably should have put this on before I put the swing arm on, but it looks like I can easily just feed it right through here. And boom, no problem. Let's throw a little bit of Loctite on these screws. Come on, baby. Looks like it's got a little bit of powder coating in the hole, so my screw won't go in. Actually, I'm just going to take this stone right here and I'm going to use this to clean up the beginning of the threads, because there's just a little bit of powder coating at the very beginning of the threads here, so this should do the trick. Now let's give this a shot. Yep. Alright guys, so next on the list we're going to assemble this rear hub here. Obviously this is where the rear wheel mounts. This is also where the chain adjuster is. A lot of assembly work to get this whole hub done, so let's get on that right now. Okay, so here's the schematic I have printed out for this whole assembly here. So this is really going to help me figure out bearings, seals, how things all come back together again, because like I said, it's been weeks since I tore this thing apart. So let's start assembling. So yesterday in my buddy's shop, I replaced the bearings in this hub here, bearing here, bearing here. Check out how we did this. We heated up the whole housing here and the bearings essentially just fell out. In the meantime, we had both bearings in the freezer. When you freeze the bearings and get them cold, they shrink. You heat this housing here, it expands. So when you put those two together, they just fall into place. So to put in the new bearings, we basically just heated this housing, took the bearing out of the freezer. The bearing basically just fell right in. And then as this housing cools, it shrinks back up. And now the bearings are back in here, press fit. So what we have left to do here is just a couple of seals, really simple to put in. The same seal on both sides. You can almost just press them in with your fingers, but I also like to use a soft rubber mallet. Nice. Good as new. Okay, next thing on this side here, there's a metal collar that drops in here, but you can see the collar's got a little bit of wear and tear on it. So what I like to do is I just have a drill motor with a wire wheel on it, and I usually just come in and just clean these things up. Then you can see on the inside of the ring here, it looks pretty bad too. So what I'll do is I'll come in here. I got some 220 grit paper. I'll just come in here, hit it really good. Look at that, much better. And this right here is the pinch bolt. We're just going to leave that loose for now. So the way this works is to adjust your chain. All you do is you'll spin this here using a tool and see how it's adjusting the position of the back wheel. Pretty unusual. We're about to put on this rear sprocket hub here, and you can see there's a rubber O-ring. I figured this thing's probably got some miles on it, so let's replace that while we're in here. It's pretty grungy inside this channel here, so I'll clean that up, and then we'll pop in the new O-ring. Look at the crud coming out of that. Yeah, it's a good thing we pulled that out. We don't want that. A little bit of simple green. Actually, I can clean this channel better with a microfiber towel and a flathead screwdriver. Gets in that groove really good. Now we just pop in the new rubber O-ring. Beautiful. So according to the schematic, we have this hub here. Goes right here. Then we have the rubber cushioners right there. Then we have this spacer that I just cleaned up. No, this is the rubber O-ring I just put on. This is the collar spacer right here. Then this hub goes on. Well, we have a problem. This hub needs a new bearing and seal, And apparently I didn't order those 2 items of all the things I ordered, which I ordered a lot. So I can't really install this till I get those 2 items. But we're gonna go ahead and get as far as we can today, and I'll show you that right now. So first goes on the hub. It's got a spline. Then you got this spacer here, goes in there. Now normally these would be going in here, these cushions here. They're actually held in place. This is the hub that I was telling you about that needs the bearing. Nice candy red. The bumpers, you'd actually put them in here first and then slide this on. And then this is gonna go on here like this. But because there's no bearing, can't really put it on right now. So we're kind of jacked. Can't put on the back sprocket. Can't finish up this side over here. So, but what I am gonna do is I'm gonna put the rear wheel on so you can see that. It's got a couple cool things. So let's just stop this where it's at right now. We'll get that bearing ordered, and then we'll be able to finish up this back wheel in a future video. Get this, I found these nice black lug nuts at Pep Boys of all places. Yeah, they're just in the automotive department, same as apparently it's the same thread as cars. I'm not gonna crank all this down, I'm just putting this on to show you guys what is going on here, people. Alright, so just have those hand tight. I really just want to cut and show you how the wheel's gonna look like on here. Also at Pep Boys, I know it sounds lame, but I found these spikes that are kind of cool. I'm gonna take a look at them. If I don't like them, I can ditch them and buy these without the threads on the end. But I had these powder coated, and these will go right in the right in there. And I like it because it gives the bike a touch of color over here. There's just a lot of black going on. And guess what? The powder coater only gave me back 3 of the 4. So now I'm missing 1. And I'm like, great. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think of the spikes. They look cool. Kind of dangerous when you think about it. But we'll leave them there for now. Alright, so I already know you guys are going to give me a bunch of crap for this tire. But I'll tell you right now, the rating on this tire will outperform any of you guys on the street. You're not going to push this tire beyond its limits, trust me. Anyways, this tire is by Metzler. It's called the Karoo 3, K-A-R-O-O 3. I just wanted to do something different than an ordinary tire. I wanted something more aggressive. I saw a pair of these on an Aprilia and I was like, that looks cool. So it's mostly for aesthetics, just to look different. Performance-wise, this thing's got everything you're going to need, trust me. Okay, last thing on today's assembly, check this out. This is obviously the valve stem. I put on one of these nice 90-degree billet valve stems. Look at this little cap. It's a little piston, a little red piston. So that's going to go on there, like so. How cool is that? There's obviously a lot more to finish up the back wheel. While we're waiting for the parts to arrive, we're going to put on the clutch cover. Wait till you guys see this thing. So many words to describe it. It's very trick, it's cool, it's different. It's very visually stunning. You're going to want to see this video. It's going to come out pretty soon, like a few days, so make sure you keep your eye open for that. Once again, if you want to be the owner of this bike when it's done and all the speed and strength riding gear that goes with it, go over to the Patreon site right here. Also, don't forget there's 4 cool products we're hooking you up with every single month. So go to Patreon, check it out. See you guys next video.